Hello and welcome to my virtual classroom. Today we're going to be reviewing how to use the Desmos Graphing Calculator. Alright, so on our home screen here on our computer, we're going to go to and we'll see this screen. I logged in earlier, so I'm already logged in. There's no need for you to create an account if you do not absolutely want to. You get all the same access without logging in. We're going to go right to the graphing calculator right here. So I'm going to click graphing calculator. And you should end up on this screen. Now, the most basic thing that you can do within Desmos is your basic math operations. Right? I'm going to use the keypad here. Right, so, I mean, I can do simple things, 5 times 6. Right? And it shows me the answer right here. I don't need to press equals or enter or anything. It's just going to do it for me. I can clear that out. I can do 6 divided by 8. Give me the decimal, right? So we can do any of our basic mathematics right here in the graphing calculator. 4 squared plus 2. It's going to do it all for me. If I need 4 for this to the third, boom, there we go. You can clear that out. So it does pretty much all the stuff we would want a normal calculator to do. It will do for us. We can get to extra functions, trig functions, statistics functions, distributions, right? We get all kinds of fun stuff, miscellaneous, different things. Most of this stuff we're not going to need, right? But they're there. All right, so then when it comes to graphing, there's a few things we can do. The most basic thing would be to have Desmos plot a point for you. It's always best to name your points. Use a letter. Typically, points would use a lowercase letter, so we can call a point A, say A equals, parentheses, 3, 5. And I can ask this to label, and there's my point, right over here. If I right click on the little icon to the left, it will give me these options, but I need to hold the click down longer than a normal click. These options will pop up. I can change the color of my point. I don't have a ton of colors to choose from, but I can change the color. I can change whether or not I can drag this. I can make it stay in the same vertical line if I want. So when I move it, I'm only moving it up or down. I can fix that point in that way. I can drag it only left or right. There may or may not be reasons we want to do that. I can drag it any way I want. Right. I've taken away my dragging options. That's the style. Drag, boom. I can move this point anywhere I want on my whole grid. So there's that. So plotting a point, one of the more basic things we can do. Make sure it's always good practice to label your point. You must input your point using proper coordinates, right? So list the x value of your coordinate first, your y value of your coordinate second. It has to be in parentheses. So we can plot a point. So there's that. You can plot basic points. So you can put as many of those in as you want, right? I can change where the label is with these options, depending on what I want. I can make it bigger or smaller. I can change the orientation. There's lots of things we can play around with. All right. So there's that. Now, get that one out of there. The other thing you can do, if I need to put in multiple series of points, or if I want to put in points using a table, this will be the most valuable way to input points when it comes to wanting to get a line or some other graph out of the table. So to do that, we'll say add item in the top left corner here. And we'll say table. So say I have a line or a table of values from a problem, from a word problem or something, and they say, okay, we have an x value of 0, and a y value of 5, and then we go to 2, y value is 2, right? And then we can keep adding, we can put more points in. Let's say now we're 4, and now we're at -1. Okay, now we've got points. Let's see, this should work. Right, and now, let's say I need to know what the rule is for this line. Okay, we can make, now that we've put this in as a table, we can have Desmos do that for us. We can find the equation without us needing to solve it. Now we do already know, based on the fact that when x is 0, y is 5, that our y-intercept is this value right here at 0, 5. Okay. But we want the equation of the line. And to do that, we do what's called a regression. And so we'll say y1, because in my table the y values are under y1, so it's accessing those numbers now. And instead of pressing equals, right, I'm going to use this symbol right here. It's called a tilde, a little squiggly line. And then I'm going to say m, and then 1 plus c. And boom, there my line goes. Okay, and what's this function, this regression, is telling Desmos to do is say, hey, I want you to graph the line that goes through these 3 points. I want you to use the y values from the table and the x values from the table and tell me what m and b are, where m is the slope. Right, we have that here. And b is our start value, or y-intercept. It's right there. All right, these other 2 values, the statistics, residuals, don't need those. All right, that's for something else. But now we know that this line, and I'm going to change this to dotted line, this has now found the slope and y-intercept, or start value. So now if I were to just type in the equation for this line, which would be y equals -1, 5, x plus 5, there it is. It covers up that dotted line perfectly, and it goes through my 3 points. Okay, so this is the correct equation. All right, so this was able to find that information for me. This can be very helpful if you have a set of points. You can graph a line. You can also use this same functionality of Desmos to find the equations for curves, which will be later on in the year, and other stuff. All right, so this is a quick idea of how to use Desmos, more specifically for linear functions, which is what we're studying right now. And we can graph a line just by typing in what the function is. We can put in our values as a table and then use that to find the equation. All right, so it's just a quick demonstration of what you can do with Desmos. All right, so that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know.